Welcome to Watch Your Work. Hey, we got the band back together.
Here we are. Mac Attack, hello.
Hello, Mac.
Feels like it's been a decade, and there was so much news today, and we're like on the cusp of the season. Yeah, and I just what a day. What a day all around.
Just take one moment before the kid upstairs falls asleep before we start talking about anything WNBA? Greg Popovich did it again, MFers. Woo, #1 pick. Let's go, Spurs.
Right. I can tell you there's a lot of disappointed people around here right now. Portland was this close to get #1. They're one number off, they said. The last number, I guess the winning ball was 2. Portland had 3.
I don't care.
You know what?
This is all news to me.
I mean, they got third. They got third pick. So I think.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
now we can stop talking about men for the next hour. Let's move on. What's up, Snap? Good that you're here. Rowdy Rod. I think you're a Trailblazers fan, so I'm sorry, but not really. Today was a day in the W. Fines, suspensions came down. All of our favorite players are getting cut.
Yeah.
The season starts on Friday. It's a freaking day. And we have Asia Wilson packs to open. Jude, you also threw in a best of pack for us to give away all the moments for. Why don't we start out with something good? So do I remember how to work StreamYard at all? We're going to find out. Let's see. We're gonna get there. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. All right, let's start up with good vibes. BG's back. Put that in the chat. We have 3 best of moments to give away. We're gonna do that to put in as much good energy out there before we have to start talking about what Mac Attack refers to as hearts were broken today.
Yeah.
Really was tough day in the W. I think we saw over the weekend a lot of those folks who trickled in from the NCAA tournament. Good vibes, kind of find out what life in the WNBA was like. Yeah,
trickled in and trickled right back out.
Right back out as soon as Monica Cesano.
I think even the fans were the same way. They're like, never mind, I'm not going to do this.
I can't have my heart broken like this. Yeah, I think the moment Monica Cesano was waved by the Aces, a lot of people on Twitter were like, "Oh,
no, Sparks.
I don't know.
Oh, by the Sparks. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just my Twitter bubble algorithm, but it does feel like because of the NCAA women's tournament having so much viewership, that people are noticing these players getting cut. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, wait a minute, what do you mean? You just drafted her and she's not on the roster anymore?
Yeah, I remember this from last year, the surprise that I had last year. And now I see it's everyone reflecting that this year, the idea that you would cut a second-round draft pick, right?
Yes.
You drafted her in the second round. You didn't even keep her. It was like, yeah, that's pretty much the operating way it works. And I thought Bree Turner had a great tweet today. She basically said, don't say I'm not going to watch the game because my favorite player got cut. Watch the game, support us so that we can expand rosters, so we can expand teams, so that your favorite player can have a team to go to.
Yeah, so, definitely. No, I think the expansion conversation is going to be huge this year, especially after that exhibition game in Toronto and the sold out crowd. I think.
Yeah.
Almost 20,800
people.
Yeah. We had
Jen,
70
you were
of them there.
Tell us about it.
So was Jude. We were both there. We actually met in person for the first time.
What a day. What a day.
First of all, hats off to Jen for absolutely top-notch organizing, not just getting tickets to make sure everybody had their tickets, and we had relatively few hiccups in terms of the distribution of tickets to the last minute. From what Jen has reported to me, maybe she kept it from me, but she also planned a pre-party or a pre-game gathering that was well attended, that people enjoyed. We had a lot of good conversation with a lot of Top Shot collectors. Some, such as myself, who are new to the W, and who are now this year they're in fantasy leagues and they're paying a lot more attention, and they maybe bought League Pass already. And then we had a couple people that were, more like Jen, been watching it for years, gotten their spouses into it, very much a great mix of people, and just really wonderful people. Nobody was like uncool. And so that's another good thing about, it's just, there was immaculately good vibes. And huge credit to Jen for all of the organizational skills that went into this, because to a person, everyone said that they absolutely loved the experience and were very happy with the seats were great too. We had a great spot in our section, was like kind of in a corner, but you could see everything just perfectly. So it was just a wonderful event, and really, really glad to do these IRL events, and looking forward to, even though I'm not going to be there, looking forward to the next one on June 3rd in Los Angeles. So
that's great.
Plug for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had only one very, very last minute cancellation. I was walking to the pregame, the restaurant, and she said, "Oh, I'm sick." But yeah, we had 70 people. We had 70 tickets throughout the arena.
That's awesome.
And then randomly the links were on my flight.
I saw that.
I rounded the corner and I was like, "That's Cheryl Reeve," and I was like,
Oh
"No!" And I
guess that's the upside of them not having private transportation.
And I came around the corner to the gate, and there was about half the team sitting there.
Wow.
I was like, "Oh gosh!" I called my grandma first because it was Mother's Day, and then I was like, "Do I do this? Do I not do this?" And I was like, "I'm just gonna do it." And all I could muster up was, that I flew across country with a big group, and was excited for them all, and asked them for a picture. That was all I could get.
Yeah.
And but of course, my shortness, I'm barely 5 foot on a good day. So, and with all these at least 6'2", 6'3"
on a good day,
my sister was like, "You look like a little kid." And I was like, "Welcome to my world."
Right.
I would have felt like one in that moment. So I feel like it all checks out. Yeah, it feels like karma in real life for all the work you did to make the event happen. You got that moment when it was over.
Selling out
universe is looking
in
out for
Toronto, and then like flying home commercially with like the fans. Like that's the total like WNBA experience. Like that's
it really is.
That's it right there. All right,
really
we're keeping vibes going. Whoever wins this one is getting the Erica Wheeler from our pack. So let's go.
I feel like we have to be like still in the W for these moments. I saw an Emily Engstler pull, and I was like, "Oh, whoops."
Whoops. Well, it does speak to like, hey, even if your favorite player does get cut, they could find a home somewhere else. Like, her in Washington, like that's an interesting spot, and I think I like it.
Steve-O was at the game. Not only did he just win this contest, but he was actually a ticket recipient from us. So
hey,
I didn't get a chance to say hi in person, but based on his picture, he must have been sitting very close to me. So it was good.
That's good. Awesome. Yeah.
Kevin, I'm looking at the shared Google Doc for like things. We have a doc we share where we just write down W stuff so to talk about it on the next show. And it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Back at how long it's like what news has happened since we've been here. And wow.
Remember how that was my idea, and then I opened it twice, and now we are in the middle, like the season.
Whenever I saw something, I'd like throw a thing in there. And now some of my notes are funny to me. But like there's a whole section on like choosing the 5th college year. We're like, oh, they've already all decided.
That was a conversation a while ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about like today. I want to show you just like so Underdog Fantasy. They started to have a page like their NBA page. So their Underdog NBA is like all these like injury, like roster updates, stuff like that.
You mean on
Twitter. Yep. Underdog WNBA on Twitter.
They rolled that out a little bit ago. which
Yeah.
hasn't been active, but very
soon.
exciting update.
This
Yeah.
reads like an obituary today. It's really sad. Like Gabby Williams uncertain to play the season due to prioritization.
But we
Carly
knew that.
Samuelson.
That was already talked about last year.
I know that's been a while. It just still
Yeah.
hurts to see it. Carly Samuelson, Ray Burrell, waived by the Sparks. That hurts. The Morgan, Sika, Stephanie, waived by the Liberty. That's not even the Liberty one that hurts the most today. Dee Richards, waived by the Liberty. That was
and Kevin, it's
crushing.
important to remember that this actually today started with a incorrect, erroneous report on the WNBA webpage, the newly launched WNBA webpage, that New York Liberty had exercised their 4th-year option on Dee Richards. So she went from an erroneous report about an extension to being cut by the end of the day. So
I will say, when you looked at what I'm not surprised it had to happen, and I don't know what else you do. But I am very sad for Dee Dee is such a character. She's such like a personality in the W, and I feel like those storylines she creates just by being herself is a value add to the league. So I'm curious.
Absolutely, but I also think that there's more of an opportunity for her to play somewhere and get realistic minutes as opposed to sitting on the Liberty bench wasting away.
So true.
Sure. Well, not wasting away. She would absolutely be racking up fines for bench celebrations now. Like she league leader in bench celebrations.
I was like, and Natasha Cloud wanted to start a GoFundMe for that. She posted that immediately.
Yes,
but I think we also have to remember too, the more that like somebody like Dee Dee gets cut, and I think like Emily is a good picking up Washington, you're probably going to see more cuts from other teams just so they can go after the people that have been waived by somebody else, right? Like you can see somebody, like I'm gonna throw it out there, right? The Storm cutting somebody that they thought was going to make it just to pick up Dee Dee. Like you also have to remember sometimes some of these future cuts may be so that they can actually pick up someone else off of waivers too.
Oh, sure. Minnesota is probably going to use the waiver wire as much as they would have used free agency because they just struck out with everybody in free agency. And when you have people like Nia Clouden, has huge upside. Waived by the Sun today. Would make a great spot
advantage because she has
the one that caught people and that Mac was kind of talking about or alluding to in the beginning was Destani Henderson being cut by the Fever. Definitely. Which, if you looked at it from a perspective of how many guards that they had that and where she fell, they weren't going to cut Grace Berger, so it really did feel like her time was limited as soon as Grace got drafted, but. I think it was sort of like we liked her. It was a hope against hope sort of thing or whatever, but. That's the one, we did a prediction contest for opening day rosters on Discord for Top Shot, and 58 out of 61 people thought that who entered the contest thought that Destani Henderson would make it to the Fever opening day roster. So clearly that one caught a lot of people off guard.
I think the one that's like you look at it on paper is probably the most surprising, but it's not, is the fact that Abby Myers is gone. I mean, the number 11 pick, it's like you just look at that and you see number 11. And you're like, how do you cut a first rounder? But then you have to realize what Dallas had 4 first rounders.
Yeah.
And, I would have said the same thing. Like out of those 4, I think Abby's gone first. So like, for somebody outside looking in, you're like, how do you cut a first rounder before the season even starts? But again, you got to take in the whole context of the draft. I mean, she was their 4th pick that round. So
and she was a weird pick to start. Like when you saw that come across, like that just felt like a weird pick because it was just such a duplication of what Dallas already had. And sure, they could have like hoped against hope that something would have worked out in camp for her. But it's eyebrow raising, but kind of not a huge surprise. Also not a surprise. Charlie Collier not getting signed to their not exercising the team option.
And I don't think she's out of the woods in terms of avoiding the acts, right?
Yeah.
So was it 5 o'clock tomorrow that they have to lock in final rosters?
I think so.
I thought it was Thursday.
Or is it Thursday? It might be Thursday.
It was Thursday.
Today's not Wednesday. Oh, here we go.
Today's Tuesday. Oh, it is.
Thursday. Yeah.
Final roster is cut down by 12 or less. by Thursday. All right.
again,
other bit of news that we scrolled by today. Sorry, dude. Go ahead.
I was just going to say some teams are definitely going to only carry 11 just because of their salary cap situation.
salaries,
So
yeah.
the idea that, I think Breanna Stewart made this point. It's not a 144 person league. It just there's just not there that the math on that never works out. So
Yeah.
And the other bombshell to drop today is that the league concluded their investigation into the Aces and handed down their pick recension suspensions.
And this was only for the Hamby stuff, from what I read.
Right.
The other stuff's all inconclusive. So this is just
well, the Aces called it as conclusive that nothing was found. So they're spinning it as like, look, it was all smoke in the fire here, right?
Although the other inquiry was about is part of what they said happened in Hamby's situation was these like extra benefits that are not allowed. So like a piece of what the second inquiry was for was proven to be true in one half of it. But then like the rest of it, they just don't know, which to me means that like people didn't talk and that Hamby did. So they just didn't have enough data, enough proof points there.
The interesting thing to me was that the Players Association came out and basically said that they hated the decision, right? And I think part of the reason that they hated the decision was if you look at the Aces, taking away a first round pick in 2025 may actually be meaningless because the team might be so good that they really won't need it.
Yeah.
Then the Aces
doesn't feel like a real punishment.
The Aces,
when you look at the Aces. But then it's context, and it's like, do you punish them for being like for assuming they're going to be good? Like, do you punish them for the roster they have now?
No,
and so I think this is all you can do.
It's absolutely fair. And then the Aces came out and said that they hated the decision. They thought it was completely unfair, and that they thought that, Becky has always been gracious with her players. And, Becky allegedly said to Dorica, like, we need bodies, and you're not going to be a body that we can count on. Right. And it's like, I mean,
that doesn't feel as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Right. But it clearly is like expressing disappointment in a person for becoming pregnant, which is just not a great sentiment to be expressing in the WNBA as a WNBA head coach.
However, if I were a pregnant player, I also would be like, I am not a body you can count on. Like, I am creating a life, and I don't know if I'm going to be game ready by the time you need me to. Like, I honestly, I didn't see like what specifically was coming out about what was said. I assumed it was so much worse. I assumed it was like straight up saying, I'm disappointed in you. We have championship potential. We could have used you on the floor.
Right.
This timing really is bad for the organization versus like, congrats on your pregnancy. We could have used you, but we understand kind of thing. I'm sure the tone and the actual conversation felt pretty bad to be on the receiving end. And I don't want to like diminish Erica Hamby's side of the whole thing. But I will say like some of the stuff that's coming out, I'm like, wait a minute. Like I need like a transcript. I need like what's going on? Because I think that like the language for those types of conversations probably needs to be like established and almost like standardized in a way. But then I feel like you take out some of the human element of that too. And like, I don't know, is there precedent for that in other leagues? Because I think the W is pretty like accepting, and the policies they have in place are kind of more progressive for pregnancy and for women to take time off for pregnancy. But
it's also interesting to note that Hamby checked herself into the scrimmage that the Sparks had the other day, right? And so she is ready to play minutes.
Yeah.
So the idea that they needed bodies and she wouldn't be available actually turned out to be incorrect. Now,
is that like
she's rushed herself back, or she's not full speed, or whatever?
Also, spite is a powerful motivator.
But I think Ruthie Hibbert.
If you told me I wouldn't be game ready, and then you cut me from the team that I loved with all my best friends, I would 100% be game ready for the new team I was on. My kid would be ready to play. Like we'd be fired up.
Which is funny because I even think Skylar came out today. Speaking of pregnancies and bouncing back, there was a whole article about her, and it almost sounded like she was kind of the opposite where she was like,
Yeah.
I have to give myself grace. It's her second kid, and she's like, I'm just not bouncing back as I thought I would. And I don't know what her plans are, but it was the first time anybody had heard from her since she announced the pregnancy. And she was kind of saying not the opposite, but just like, I got to give myself grace, and it's not going to happen. And as much, sometimes the body just needs to take a little bit longer to heal too.
Yeah.
It's a health issue.
The interesting thing about Skylar is we know nothing about her pregnancy. Like we assume at this point she's had the kid. Did she tell Essence?
Oh yeah, no, she posted today on Instagram, and there was a whole article that came. Yeah, there was an article that came out from Essence. I was like, I know I retweeted it. I was like, let me find it.
But she confirmed that she's had the child and the whole deal, right?
Because even as late as Saturday, Nygaard wouldn't confirm anything about like her situation at all, like in a press conference, and it was kind of a funny.
Did she tell Essence that she's planning on playing this year? Like, what did she say about her status for 2023?
I gotta go find it now. It was just more of like.
This is what happens when 4 people don't read the article, right?
No, I read. I was like, I'm still.
If anybody in the chat read the article, then feel free to jump in, and I'm sure Kevin will.
Hold on.
Highlight you.
I'm happy to. This is like this whole talk about like revenge and spite being motivators. Like, I want to see Dearica Hamby in a Gatorade commercial where the flavor is spite, and like that's that's what I need. Like, that's the.
I want so badly for her to have the best season of her career and like just shatter expectations. I would love nothing more than for this to be, the fire she needs to be an all-star. Like,
well, they're doing a documentary on Ruthie Hayward from Chicago, who just had a baby as well. And she's been talking about trying to get back into game shape. So this is hardly a Hamby Diggin Smith type, doing this alone.
Absolutely.
So, Katie Lou Samuelson took herself out of this because she's pregnant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
Collier last year come back at the end of the year because of coming off of pregnancy.
And I don't know what the rule is for, like, I think you can keep them on the roster, but I don't know if like how long after having a child, like if it just still applies. Like what the parameters are, I guess.
Well, I think Collier had her kid in February and didn't come back until April, if I've got the timing on that right.
No, Phoebe didn't come back till
she
like
had
August.
the baby in like May.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I came back in the playoffs.
August.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Juju brought up. No, it was Kelsey who brought up shattering expectations, sort of just like looking ahead to what the season's going to bring. I actually did some homework today. I wrote down some questions, some roundtable stuff, hoping that we'd have a great crowd. Weisberg, hello. Hoping we have a great crowd today. So we can like rip packs and we can talk about what we're excited for this year. The season starts on Friday. Like, how is this possible? We got to watch like one televised preseason game, and then like the season's here. We have like 3 heartbreaking days of cuts, and the season's here. I'm going to start opening packs, and then I'm going to start asking some questions to y'all. And I want good, well thought out, hot takey answers.
Wait, well thought out and hot takey or not? Those
nope,
are diametrically
we both those.
Right,
so well thought out or hot takey.
Hold on.
Which one do you want? Yeah.
Hold on. It says the Phoenix Mercury player still isn't at the point where she's in good enough shape to play a game, but she's taking her time to get back on track.
Okay.
The Phoenix player hates Vanessa Nygaard so much that she is not going to commit to coming back
2023 season for spite reasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Spite court 2023.
Yeah. She goes, I'm not really worried about snapping back. I just want to enjoy this time. Oh, it was a daughter. She had a daughter this time.
Oh, well, she has been really good about clapping back to her coach. That's so like
That's right.
I almost feel like she wants out though. And then I'm like, they can't, like, can she request, like the whole thing feels dicey if she's like, I want out. And they're like, okay, go.
Well, this
and
is
like, oh my God, they cut her because she was pregnant. It's like, no, she wanted to leave.
I think this is the last year of her contract, right? Or the last guaranteed year?
I think she probably
not
leaves soon.
play
I don't. Yeah, I'm not.
DNP fight.
Every
Love it.
time I click a new tab to try to find out this StreamYard like messes up for me for a while.
That's
So I gave up on research. We're just straight vibes today.
NDH, what is this jiggling doing to you right now? I mean, it hasn't been quite 15
open the
minutes, but is this
bag.
good to? Are we good to go?
Funny.
Go
All
for
right.
it.
This is this is something along the lines of what I'm thinking. Let's do that with our first question. Like, what is it that we are like, we can't help but monitor throughout the season? Like, as soon as game's in, I am going to the box scores. I'm going to the game recaps, watching the highlights for this. And for me, it's this one right here. This is like, I am going to look at BG's minutes so much. I'm so interested about what that
I think
looks like
she's
for
gonna
this
be
first
just
fight.
fine.
I see that's part of me. And then part of me also
No.
says, like, how can she be just fine after all of that?
I think that's like, I don't know. I would think that, and maybe this is like my thoughts, but I think participating in basketball is her getting back to normal. And so she hasn't been able to do that to its full extent yet. And so I think like the normalcy and the routine and the like, I don't know. And I'm sure she's dealing with a lot of stuff in her personal life, but she seems to be doing that and handling it with so much grace and poise. And so it does really feel like she has those support systems in place. I don't think we'd see as much of her publicly if she were not in a good place. I think that like, I don't know. I trust that like she and her wife are really approaching this with care and that they have a huge support system for her recovery. I also think that she would be like, she was already like, I'm not playing abroad anymore. I think she was like, I need chartered flights. Like, doesn't she get like flight privileges?
Sorry.
Yeah, they
I
also
think she
announced.
does. Yeah.
I also announced today. Sandy Bordello announced that each team's also getting a security officer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's asking for the stuff she needs to feel safe, and so that alone to me is like a really good sign.
So
like this
what I read was that they weren't going to publicly comment on her security plan, which would include her flights, but that she wouldn't be taking strictly like chartered planes absent of her teammates. So it seemed like there was going to be some compromise where sometimes that she would be on a charter flight by herself and sometimes she would be flying commercial like with the rest of them. But I just can't imagine what the first time she walks through LAX will be like, you know?
Well, I feel like LAX,
but maybe she doesn't. Like maybe that's part of it.
I also think there's like I've heard this from celebrities. It's like you can pay a fee to not be in the airport and to like sneak on planes.
I think you can board the plane.
Yeah, like so I feel like
there's also like smaller airports nearby. Like I think
scenes.
Yeah. But it seems like those things are being put in place for her and there's a lot of care being put into her coming back. And so
we can't have ravenous 5'0" Top Shot collectors approaching her like while she's waiting to board a plane. I mean, I think that's too much of a rare.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
you know.
All right, let's put this. Oh, go ahead, Jude.
On the opposite end of that spectrum, you got Elena Deladon, who's literally said, "I'm strongest I'm feeling.
Yeah, no restricted minutes.
Through load management, like I am ready to play all games. I'm not taking games off. Like the people who got her for
that
fantasy
I'm skeptical
purposes, are pretty excited right now, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Elena Deladon super fan over here. Absolutely skeptical of every
stuff,
word,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's funny.
Like I don't know if your back like comes back after that. Like I don't know. I don't know.
Mac, you did not read my fantasy piece for Winsider. Like to
I fully missed the draft. I was like, I'm not available till like after 9 p.m. most nights, and then fully missed.
Hey, you got a great team though.
Like, I did pretty good, and the only thing I decided was that I wanted to scoop Natasha Howard because I think everyone would go for Aces Liberty players, and they're not going to have as many. They're sharing the points, they're sharing the minutes, they're sharing the load. So, Elena Deladon I think is a good pick if she's healthy, and then Natasha Howard was one I was excited for, so I did get her.
And meanwhile, I've been avoiding John Paul Jones in all my fantasy drafts because I am very worried about that stress fracture she just revealed to us that she was playing through. not only
know that.
through the finals, but through with Bosnia Herzegovina and all of her other commitments. Right? It's like that's not good.
No. But guys, Liberty news. Hanshu is pulling up from 3. All the have you seen all the clips of her?
I
just
love that.
like she's got a sky hook now. I am so excited.
And I don't think this is not like bullshit like social media clips. This isn't like us like showing videos of Ben Simmons shooting threes in the offseason.
No.
Like this is I think
this is like
real.
subtle, like, wait, do you guys see this? Like that's how the tweets are. And I'm like, oh my God. On a stacked Liberty team. And then Mourinho Hannes, like I think the Liberty are they're gonna be fun.
Yeah.
They're gonna be fun.
Like it's like, you have the starters for the Liberty out there that you're just like so terrified. But then in the back of your mind, like other teams have to just be waiting for that other shoe to drop.
It makes me feel
like coming out on court.
Like as a Celtics fan, when Peyton Pritchard comes in at the end of the game in like garbage 10 minutes and just like lights up and has so much fun, and you still get that energy, but it's a blowout. Like I think we're gonna get that. I think we're gonna get a show from Mourinho, Hannes, and Hanshu, and they're just gonna be like the passes, the shots. That's gonna be great.
They're gonna have like this like Tobias Harris, like Boban, just like energy and like
I hope so.
Love. I hope so. That's gonna be great.
That's what I'm rooting for.
Well, Kelsey, great segue into the other question. Like the player I'm most excited to watch in 2023 is blank.
I think it's Mourinho Hannes for me. I think, like, of course, the team dynamics of Aces Liberty is very exciting. I hope Elena Delle Donne's healthy all season and we can see her at her best, like full time. But I think it's Mourinho Hannes.
Love it.
I'm going to go with Diamond Miller because I really just was impressed with what I saw throughout the preseason, but then I got to watch her play in the Canada game. And I think that Aaliyah Boston's going to get all the hype and rightfully so, but I think that this rookie class is going to be really interesting. And Diamond is the one that kind of showed out for me in the preseason that made me think there's a real good player here, and she's going to be a real good piece for the Lynx.
That Twitter clip of her up and under against the Mystics with her footwork just on point was something that I watched maybe 15 times over the course of the day. It was incredible.
That's fun.
Yep. Jen, who you got? Ooh, Mac Attack coming in with the Jewel Lloyd. Shout out Pacific
the gold
Northwest.
See, I was honestly, I mean, it was like, I was saying a Homer team was definitely going to be Ezzy because she had a great offseason over at Sopran. And, now that she's going to be like one of the heavy favorites, one of the big 3 now in Seattle, like I'm excited to see what she has. But in terms of non-homage, I'm really, I just feel like in general, the whole Sparks situation, like I'm really excited to see what comes out of this. Like,
don't steal my answer, Jen. Don't steal my answer.
Is it Zia Cook? Is your answer Zia Cook?
My answer is Azare. I am so excited.
Azare is so fun. Yeah. Is it Zia or Zaya? Zaya.
Oh, I'm sorry. I might have mispronounced. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's Zaya. It's Zaya.
It's more that I feel like I know it, and then I hear it different, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
No, I appreciate that. I'm notoriously foul about pronunciation, so I actually appreciate being corrected. So Zaya, good to know.
I was like, the best clip is from right at the end of the season where they were asking about the seniors at South Carolina of like their one home loss, and Zaya was like, we lost? And they go to Aaliyah and Dawn, and they're at the press conference like, what are your players didn't? And Dawn was like, don't tell me it's Zaya. Like, she's like, I bet it was Zaya. Like, it's like the funniest clip ever, but it's like, you just hear, she's like, don't tell me. But there's the fact that, I think we talked about it. One of the other things is like, I know the Sparks have to get their, like the locker room situation fixed, right? They released Kennedy Carter, even though they're still paying her.
We also released Derek Fisher last year. Shout out Snapper for bringing up what's the best part. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And like NECA's already come out and said like it's now a professional organization. And I'm like, what is that exactly? Like there was just comments of like it's a whole new feel to LA.
Love it.
And it still seems like a hodgepodge down there, but I'm excited to kind of see what comes out of LA this year. Especially now with Kurt
like that.
Miller.
I'll tell you what, with when we watched the Sky on Saturday with Elizabeth Williams out, they really could have used Azurá Stevens. I mean, she is definitely missed in
I
Chicago.
love Azurá. I'm excited for her.
Yeah.
A lot of people are excited for Elizabeth Williams on that team. Like that's
I love Elizabeth Williams. I was a big fan of her on the Mystics. So
yeah, big like defensive team kind of
yeah
potential for her right there.
So
did we leave anybody out?
Do you think Kurt picks up Nia Clouden then? Does Kurt have any kind of relationship with Nia Clouden? Like, is LA just a place for Connecticut refugees?
Well, Jasmine Thomas being one.
Right.
Who else is on there? I think I would hope so. It just comes down to the roster spots. Like that's where I think. Avi, where did you have? Like, where do we think Dai's going to land or Didi's going to land?
Definitely Didi.
I did this on the last show, and I had to ask. I had to reflect because, like, why do I get this?
Because then you're
wrong?
like, there's at least 2 ways in my head for almost every name in the league.
I figured it out. My
Her Hoop Stats has the pronunciations.
I do. My daughter's preschool teacher was named Dai, and so like I have those two things living in my brain simultaneously.
Yeah.
Where's Didi going to land? I think Didi lands in Seattle.
I think so too.
When it comes to Nia,
if Gabby doesn't come back.
Yeah, especially if Gabby doesn't come back. I think for Nia, I think she would be really good in like a Phoenix situation if they had any room. Because I think there's question marks, especially with Sophie getting hurt last week, which she posted on Instagram that she's like up and walking around now, even though she was like carried off the field with a non-contact knee injury that looked bad. She would be a good option, but we'll see. Maybe LA.
And they cut Sam Thomas today. What was it? Third team all rookie last year or whatever that weird designation that she got was that nobody
averaging
understood.
2 points a game and got an all rookie team. It's so weird. Yeah. But also sad for her. She had good potential, continues to, and hopefully she lands someplace as well. All right. Next question. Between Las Vegas and New York, these two juggernauts far and away, 1 and 2 in all these different power rankings, which team is the most beatable?
Oh, I think Liberty by far.
Yeah. I hate to say it.
They haven't been able to get on the court. So they've got big Laker energy right now, right? Which or Brooklyn Nets energy, right? Actually, where it's like they put all these superstars together, but they haven't actually played together. So Courtney's got concussion issues. Jonquel's got the fracture that she's coming back from, right? Like this is not. They're gonna take a hot minute to get together and do some team chemistry stuff because they got whooped pretty bad in their preseason game the other day. And Sandy Brundello was like, "Look, we just haven't had enough time to like play as a team. We just we don't know each other's timing." I think
I'm
still not sold on Vegas's bench.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I do think though that's not going to be an issue until later in the season. But we said that last year, and they were fine. Like
I know, but I feel like you still have CP's going to need her minutes. I mean, I feel like this where Alicia Clark can kind of come in and hold down at least defensively.
Yeah, what a get!
But I'm still not sold. They have a second team that can help. And to your point, yes, later in the season and stuff. I'm just not.
They have
let's think about like last year's
roster right now. Like it's truly going to be their starters and Alicia.
Yeah. If
unless I'm forgetting someone, like they have no bench.
They
Raquana Williams. I mean, it's not
who played like a spot start. Yeah. Let's see what her hoops stats have to say. Oh, I can stop sharing before I do that.
I think you're right. The Liberty are probably gonna have a slower start.
I think we'll write the Liberty's 1 and 2 season start will launch 100 think piece articles about maybe we overestimated the Liberty. I think they're going to have a slow start, but I think they'll be right there at the finish.
I do think there's something
control.
Yeah, I do think there's something too with the Aces about having Candace Parker be your big ad, like that veteran leadership, and like she knows how to win, and those intangibles that Candace brings. That like the Liberty have great gets, and they have a championship winner, Brianna Stewart, but I don't know. I feel like Candace elevates that team in a way that I didn't think they could be elevated anymore.
Yep.
So I do think there's something there, but yeah, I just think the end of the season, like playoffs in that, I mean, I think that's our matchup unless anything spicy happens, but
Yeah. I think for Jen's point,
fun.
what I would say in caution of like that notion that this the Aces didn't have a bench last year either. The Aces didn't have to really face anyone remotely comparable to what this year's like Liberty team could be. I think their biggest competition in last year's playoffs would have been Chicago, who was eliminated early on. And they in the games that they struggled in Connecticut, like they were really, really a struggle. And part of that too could be being gassed. Part of that could be not having much of a option offensively outside of their like top 3 or 4 players. But to give you a rundown of what their bench looks like for Vegas at the moment, it is Alicia Clark, Kia Stokes, Sid Colson, Kayla George, Kirsten Bell, and Alexis Peterson. And I think maybe 2 of those people could probably get you 15 points in a playoff game if you needed it. Like there's not a lot there.
Yeah. But
There's
I also
no
don't know if they
Hanzu
need
on your
more
bench.
than 2 people.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's true for a lot of teams. Like I'm thinking now of like the depth. Like what team do we think has the most depth? And now I'm like, what are the rosters even anymore? I need to like see them played.
That's where New York. That's where New York's dangerous, is because while it is a slow start, to the point where you still come in with Hanshu and Marine and who else? There's a third one that probably won't start. And
Benisha? Like, does Benisha start?
No,
the Satu's little sister there, Naira.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
that's an option.
Else.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I feel where New York's got the bench, right? It's how do you find that combination? How do you rotate and not lose the momentum, bringing someone else in, and how do you balance? I think even sometimes. Oh yes, that's Olsen. There we go.
How did we forget our
girl?
Our girl.
I know.
I think like what I see the problem with New York is like, do these stars take a seat because they know there's so much star power around them, or do they still take charge and they're all alphas and they're fighting?
I don't see Jonquil. Like, I feel like she's a team player.
Right. It's like, but like with like you were talking about, like if Sloot goes down, but like with Stewart, and it's like, does she take over? Do you let her? Do you not? And
I think they can work with that. I feel like that's where the strategy is going to come in. So they're like, yeah, Sloot, go ahead, run with it. And then if they start to double Sloot, you have Sabrina, you have Brianna, you have Jonquil. Like the defense. I can't imagine a scenario where I know how to defend New York, because now they are more of a threat on the outside with Sabrina and Sloot. And then they're a threat down low with Brianna and Jonquil. So then you're like, what? And then if Betnaja's that 5th spot, she's like moving around, getting open. Like I think it's going to be tough.
I think that every time that they've written on the men's side about some super team going to win all the championships or whatever, there's always chemistry issues or there's always injury issues. And I feel like it doesn't feel like both of these teams are going to make it to the end like everyone just assumes. And it was really interesting. It seems like a lot of the questions in training camp or preseason talk was around the Mystics and the Mercury about who's the 3rd best team, right? And I think it was Griner who said, like, look, man, like we got awesome players here. Like we're kind of a super team too, right? Now they don't have
that she's back.
But I mean,
like, is she at full strength? Like I do think that's the question mark there. But
I don't think anyone would confuse their lineup for the Liberty lineup. But at the same time, like that is a pretty good open question, which is who is the 3rd best team?
I've seen a lot of the Mystics. I feel like
I would say Mystics right now.
Until
I see Griner, but
my exact next question.
So sorry.
Did we take it or did we just know it?
Or did we?
No,
or did
You
we-
knew it. I led you to the path. I'm
not
walking with you right
skeptical
now.
that I'm not as skeptical that Elena can't make it the whole season. I really think the technology and the rehab stuff that they've done. I mean, knowing her. I mean, and I say this with like speaking of NIL, right? She just had a massive shoe launch over the off season. Like
this was in my old notes. I would like to mention she named a shoe after another clothing item.
Oh,
and I
have it.
I have some notes. The shoes are always great. I love the shoes. The naming.
I actually wear one of them for my workouts every morning. But like I remember when Stewie tore her Achilles. And she talks about how she spent $30,000 of her own money on rehab and was able to come back, and now she's better than ever. Like I feel Elena has reached that status where she has the money.
She put in the time
to invest and the time to do the rehab.
Yeah.
That I'm not as skeptical. I mean, yeah, especially now it's 40 games, but I don't know. I'm seeing the excitement around the other players and her that she like again determination to come back.
She also, I think, knows her body really well at this point, especially based on last season and how they kind of gamed the calendar to like sit her certain times. I think there is a backup plan in place if like she's starting to feel off, and I think she's good at knowing when that is. So I think you have a good point that it may not be as bad.
Yeah,
I'm just not worry about her.
I mean, like, everybody's going to worry, especially now that it's 40 games versus 36, and like you said, they were very diligent on her time, but I think she's had
it's been
a long off season for her. I think she's
cannot get over Kelsey's
fixation
continued
with
skepticism of Elena Del Don's amazing shoe line. Like
her shoes are awesome.
A constant theme.
Her shoes are awesome. She named a lime colored shoe after Lyme disease, and I think the messaging in the shoe is great. But it really made me laugh. And then to name a shoe hoodie. And to be fair, Brianna Stewart did. Brianna, that's one I always have to check.
Right.
Stewie.
Brianna.
We'll just go with Stewie.
Yeah.
Stewie has a red shoe that she's named Ruby, but that's also her kid's name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like, I don't know, it feels a little different.
Which comes out Friday, by the way. Speaking of the shoe, it comes out Friday.
Sabrina's shoes look awesome too. A lot of shoes, you guys.
I was like, I've got like the pile sitting over here because like I didn't even say.
Do you buy every pair?
I did.
Are you a shoe person or just a WNBA shoe person?
I actually wore Nafisa Collier's PE Katie's to Toronto.
Nice.
But no, I'm not been a sneaker, but honestly, I've now in a way become a sneaker fan, and for more practical reasons, because now that I have a wide variety of like colors, I go to a lot of concerts, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm wearing sneakers. This matches my shirt. I'm like, I just stand there in the pit with these, sneakers now.
There you go.
This works. Like I wore the what was the second shoe Stewie came out with? I can't think of the name of it. She called it, but it was like purple and pink. I totally wore that to Carrie Underwood. Like standing, I was like, this is the perfect time to wear the purple and pink sneakers to Carrie Underwood. I did the pit for Carrie with those.
I'm struggling with trying to make seafoam a color I can wear and it look good in. I can't like. I like.
You could do the black with the seafoam accent.
Yeah,
exactly. You got to commit to that part.
Yeah. That's what the thing is. We bought my son a Liberty shirt, but it's predominantly black, and then the like tiny letters of Liberty are seafoam. So I think that actually would be the direction I would go. But I think that they look great in their uniforms. I don't personally think I could pull off seafoam. So we need a head shoe.
Golly. Thank you, NDH. Mm-hmm.
That was great. Yeah, I love the seafoam. I think it's one of the. I love that the Liberty colorway is one of my favorite in the W.
Well, I'm on board. Mystics fan here with Washington being the third best team in the league, despite like maybe the inexperience of Coach Nepo Baby, like taking the helm.
Nepo Baby, I love it.
But
Isn't that how all people in Washington get their jobs?
I was just going to say that feels so
Hey!
Washington.
This feels very Washington. I love it. Oh my God. Incredible. But let's look at, so one thing I found interesting looking at power rankings in the last couple weeks is that once you get past like Connecticut and Phoenix, maybe at like that 4 and 5 kind of range, like stuff gets wild. Like people will have like Dallas 5th. The next one will have Dallas 10th. Like
Yeah.
I saw ESPN's had Minnesota as like 6th or 7th, like getting into the playoffs. Like my like Winsider, like first power ranking, like Minnesota was like my 11th team. Seattle was my 12th like team. Like this is like wild all over the place. Who is your 12 out of 12? Who is your worst team going into this league? Because I'm willing to like put some money down that we're gonna have a different answer for like every.
I don't even know if I have an answer.
Mac has to mute right now just for Mac. It's still the Indiana Fever.
Oh, I disagree.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I disagree
so.
hard. But
Okay.
that's also like that's another one I read had Indiana like dead last. They give us your 4.
5 and 33 last year.
Yep.
Or 5 and 32. It's there's a lot to work up to. Now, we all see the promise. We all see the potential, right? It's just such a. It feels like the AAA organization playing in the major leagues when they put in the AAA funds.
Ooh.
That's what it feels like.
Ooh.
Like, did you see the Aces' new commitment to like their nutrition and their like workout and stuff like that? Like, meanwhile, the Fever are like, are we gonna have a full season in the field house? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know. The whole thing feels like it's sort of, and the fan support is not there, and I just feel like
I think it could be. I think Aaliyah's a and I do think she's the type of player that can change kind of the fan perspective. Yeah, it's hard to tell how they're all going to play together.
Indiana girl, speaking to the fact that you picked Grace over Destiny, that you're going to bring a lot of Indiana homers. Yep. Speaking of the transition from college to pros and bringing the fan base with you, if you bring University of Indiana fans with you to the field house, and the excitement of Aaliyah Boston,
I think that only works as long as she's playing and playing well, though. I mean, they might do it a couple of times just because they're excited about it. But
I think
her game transitions
even about Melissa, and the recognition and the offseason that even she had. I think there's a lot of excitement, and with a brand new coach and
Chrissy Sides, #team Chrissy Sides. I am humongous believer.
All right.
And especially when you still have Lynn Dunn as your GM. Like, she's not messing around.
We are all living in Lynn Dunn's world.
I can't wait to hear what your number 12 picks are so I can shit all over them.
Exactly. That's what we're here for. Shit all over. All right. I already said Seattle. Like,
I think I'm like double checking my.
Okay. Tell me why it's not Seattle. Like, I would love to hear, because it seems so clear to me why it's.
Well, I think Seattle's a reclamation project for sure, but I don't know that. I think that there's still some good bones
Seattle,
there, right? I think Noelle Quinn is a great coach. I think Jewel Lloyd understands what's being expected of her from going from, sort of taking a backseat to the leadership of Bird and Stewart, and now needs to be the alpha. And I think she can rise to that occasion. Sammy Whitcomb is back in the place that she was most successful. Has a lot to prove. Mercedes Russell's apparently kicked the migraines. Like, I don't know. I feel like, Jordan Hartson.
There's no point guard. There's still no true point guard. They're still trying to figure out who's going to direct the floor. And that's, to me, the biggest piece. Like, Jewel can help, but Jewel's not bringing the ball up the floor. She's not running the plays. She's not setting the pace. And without that, you want to talk about chemistry? I'm not quite there yet. Do I think they'll do better than people realize? Yes. Do I see them? I'd see them making the playoffs? Absolutely not.
Okay.
I would not like to see them 12, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were.
Who's your
12.
12th, Jen?
I mean, I really do go back and forth between Indiana and Seattle.
Ooh.
I do think Indiana will be much better than 5 wins. Absolutely. I think
mean,
they will be definitely much better than.
Kevin,
I think the
Indiana's got to
problem.
be 11 on your list too, right?
Do we just make the list? Like, what do we got?
Yeah, Kevin, is Indiana 11 on your list, or are they higher than 11?
Indiana is 9th or 10th on my list.
Whoa.
Mhm.
Okay, who's below Indiana?
Below Indiana is Minnesota.
No way Minnesota's worse than Indiana. No, absolutely no way.
Especially not with
talk about
Collier
not
back.
having a point guard. Did you see like Rachel Banham out there? Like
I
they
did
don't
see
have
Rachel
a point
Banham.
guard.
I said it in the Discord. I said, I hope you find somebody who loves you as much as Rachel Banham loves taking that 3-point shot that's like 1.5, 2 feet behind the 3-point line and just straight
She's what
it.
they got. She's what they got. And I forget where I had Dallas, and I know I'm a notorious Dallas hater,
Minnesota doesn't.
You are.
but I think I had
Dallas
them.
hater.
I think I had them 9th, and I had Indiana 10th with Minnesota and Seattle.
Dallas definitely feels like it's got that dysfunctional family vibe, definitely to it. It's hard, right? They put a lot around Arike, and I'm not, I love Arike, but I'm just not sure that that's who you build your franchise around without giving her any supporting help.
Yeah.
So,
Kelsey, who's your 12th?
I've always been
I was going to say Seattle, but I don't know. And then I'm thinking of the rest of my rankings, and I'm like, who even is on the teams anymore?
Right.
And now I'm like, I feel like I need to do the rest of, because like, I don't know, you guys.
Well, listen, we're going to be here till 11:30 if we like tried to build our own rankings. I got one more question, and I'll round out the packs on here, and we'll answer this. Let's do this. Shake on it, Jude. Shake.
100%. 100%.
I love
Mac,
it.
you got it.
I'm clipping this. I'm sending it to Coach Sides. The entire state of Indiana is not going to welcome back Jude. Game.
I was going to say I'm no longer welcome in the Gamebridge Fieldhouse. So,
all right, my question.
I think Fever's a good take.
Oh,
I'm just hopeful for them.
Oh, I am.
I'm not. I don't think it pained me to watch them play so ineptly last year, but it doesn't seem like I don't know. I'll still root for them. I think that there's players on that team that I absolutely adore and think will be good. I'm not sure about all of them together. So,
well, as soon as we're done here, I'm going back to worshiping at the altar of Lynn Dunn, and that's all there is to say about it.
I mean, she was GM of the team last year, the team that won 5 games. I mean, I understand.
No, she came in halfway through.
Yeah.
She came halfway through.
Halfway through.
Okay, then she's responsible for 16 out of the 32 losses. Then.
Oh, I mean, that is not how this works.
Yeah, but she couldn't make any trades or do any. She was basically handed Tamika Catching's team. She couldn't do anything with them.
All right. Last
question.
Be
so fun.
Last question. Team that didn't make the playoffs last year that's making it this season.
Who didn't? You gotta remind me.
Right. It's the Sparks, it's the Lynx, it's the Fever, and it's the
Sparks. Lynx.
Oh my goodness. Dream.
Indiana.
Dream.
Ooh, I like the Dream.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Lynx here though. I think the Lynx have enough to finish above 500. There you go. There it is.
My God. You are a take machine. I'm loving this. Oh, I am absolutely going. I have beat the drum for Atlanta, and I would feel disingenuous if I did not have them up there. I think I had them 4th or 5th in my power rankings too. I love everything about the team. Who's leading the organization, who the coach is, who their picks were, who their sophomores are, who their vets are, even picking up D-Rob in the offseason. That is someone you pick up for vibes and vibes alone. And that is exactly who you pick up for vibes. It's going to be excellent. I'm so excited to see what they do.
Is this the Naz Hillman breakout year after the Athletes Unlimited performance that she turned in the offseason?
You would love, I would love to think so, but when you have Mo Billings and Cheyenne Parker's on the team too, it's going to be hard to maybe give her enough floor time. I think she is going to be beastly in whatever minutes she gets, because you saw from start to finish that start to finish in Athletes Unlimited, she was an entirely different player. Love it. Thanks for coming, fam. Good to see you. Jen, you said the Sparks?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they'll finish 8th. But I'm not talking about like moving completely up there in the rankings, but I have a feeling Sparks are going to finish like 8th.
And that's
I
just
feel
like that's a bet on Kurt, right? Kurt getting them together.
But I also feel like NECA also has the support around her finally. Her sister's
Yeah,
healthy,
they made some
and with
good moves.
Azure and Lexi Brown at the point, I think
And they got rid of the cancer that was Carter.
Yeah, like I
And
just
Cambage.
Well,
that too.
Liz.
I just feel like
Remember her?
I feel like it's a different vibe, and I really feel like they're going to be more cohesive. And I mean, like I said, are they going to go farther than 8? No, I would probably say they're number 8, but I feel like they're going to make it.
Feels like they built a team. Like
Yeah.
you're going to play like a team, and I think that's going to be huge.
Like a real team. Yeah. No joke.
Not like getting a talent. Like they were like, how do we make this work? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good call. I like that. So we've power
As we
ranked
close out.
the Sparks at 8. We have Fever Storm near the end. Links are kind of
loving this.
floating. But I would think we have Aces Liberty in the 1 2.
Right. Somebody's gonna be very wrong about the links.
I feel like it's pretty. I don't know. I feel like we kind of did it. Aces. The links are
I
the
think
big
so.
question mark. It's like Aces Liberty in the 1
Where do
2
we have the
spot, however
Sky?
You switch them. That's a see.
The
I think
Sky
they're
is an
probably like
interesting one to me.
in the middle-ish.
Yeah, I feel like the Sky
Lower
could be
middle.
the one that falls the most.
I like. Yeah.
Oh, really? Because
Ooh.
I love
Well,
the
'cause-
whole Copper Williams, Izzy Harrison. I don't know. I think that they're Mayberry.
Mayberry, yeah, Marina.
Mabry.
They have some good pieces. I am interested to see how they do. Yeah, they could be good.
To Jen's point, I
feel
think
like-
it's also the most combustible core between
Yeah, I
all of
feel
those
like it could go either
personalities.
really well or really wrong.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right.
And
Yes.
really wrong fast.
Well, if it was
Yeah.
Vanessa Nygaard was the coach, I'd say they're definitely not going to make the playoffs. But
But I mean, James Wade ain't much better these days. I mean,
I don't know about that. So
Oh, I like it.
I think CP carried them to the championship, not James Wade.
Mhm. Oops,
I would
didn't
say
wanna
they're
draw
like
again.
firmly. No, maybe I would say middle. They're in the middle.
I could see him being 7, maybe, but I
Yeah.
don't see him being higher than 6.
No.
Mac Attack, I'm giving you
I
an
got
Emily Engstler.
you can
Just-
ship that one to me after the
And let's
season's
draw
over.
one more for.
You finish in 12th.
That's here. And let's do one more for the Sylvia Fowles best of.
It was so funny. I wore a Sylvia Fowles jersey because I was like, somebody gave it to me. I was like, I don't know when else I'm ever going to wear this. And everyone was like, oh, you're from Minnesota? And I was like, no.
Just here for vibes. Awesome. All right. Can you imagine everything that we covered in the last hour? We built like our own power rankings. We covered the heartbreak of the waiver wire. We went over who we're excited about this year. If we think about like end of season awards, who are we feeling? Is this like are we looking at like an Asia Wilson repeat MVP? Are we looking at like a Stewie, like barnstorming, taking over the league with a super team MVP? Are we looking at like BG is back and dominating and pulling an MVP at the end of the year? What are you thinking that we see at the end
That's
of
the best
season?
story.
I love that
BG
story.
MVP is the best story.
Mhm.
So I'm rooting for it just for that.
Just for vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see some early Aces and Liberty games to see how like Asia's going to have to share.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to have to share. And so she's
Yep.
not going to get the ball as much. I don't know if she's going to be able to be as dominant because of how dominant the team is. And I think the same could be said for Stewie. And so if those are your two front runners for MVP and they cannot kind of put up the numbers that you would argue makes them MVP, is there somebody else who could kind of take that spot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's where I can see if Elena Deladon's healthy and playing at her best,
Ooh, I
like
like that
she
pick.
feels like a good pick. I
Yeah.
could see Natasha Howard having an awesome season. I don't know if it's MVP, but I feel like they're going to lean on her quite a bit.
Like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think if the Storm managed to pull rabbit out of a hat and make the playoffs, that Jewel Lloyd could be in the MVP discussion. You know,
I think it would like what a story that would be.
I think
That's
Copper
incredible.
in Chicago too is going to be a lot more of a focus, and she looks like she's ready to take on the lead of just the dominant point scorer
Mhm.
with CP gone. So I
I
think
wonder
there's a lot of
too.
interesting
Yeah.
stories.
I keep thinking too with like aces if your guards are going to get more because they have so many people to assist. Like
Yeah.
those assist numbers are going to be insane.
Right, like what if
with, like
Chelsea
a Chelsea
Gray's
Gray? Yeah.
still hot from last year, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna feed her. So
Oh, we already got picks coming in for rookie of the year. So we have Haley Jones.
That's fun.
That's not where I'm putting my money, but I like your pick. I still, it's hard for me to see like anyone else like but Aaliyah.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna get the playing time if she stays
her
healthy.
game will transfer pretty well too. Like I
So
think she's in a
well.
good position.
Yeah.
I agree with Jude on the Diamond Miller one.
Yeah.
For
I
Rookie of
would
the
love
Year.
to see that.
Like
I
that.
was so surprised how quick that seems to transfer for as terms of like skill set.
I think you got to give a lot of. Freeze does not get the kudos that she deserves for players being in WNBA ready, and the transition from Brenda to Cheryl, I don't think is as big of a jump as people make it realize. And I think about where some players they landed where they need like the coach. Like for example, so like Dorky Uhas, for example, like she's been killing it in the preseason.
Yeah,
I think Chanel Reeve is the perfect coach for her.
Yep.
Like there's also just you got to think about the coach too, and I think because of the fouls present, there's no longer the fouls presence. Like they need something inside that I fully believe Reeve is going to get that out of Miller, and she's going to put up dominant numbers. And I think where Boston's gonna. Yes, she'll be finally having that single coverage, but she's still down low with Alyssa Smith. So she's going to be fighting Alyssa for rebounds and fighting for points. And so while she'll finally be able to work on her moves, I just don't see her putting up the numbers that I think people are projecting. And I think Miller can do that.
I think she's going to have a target on her back too. I think a lot of people will go into that game making sure that they shut her down. Whereas I think some of these,
welcome to the league.
Yeah, exactly. Rook with number 1 pick, like, we'll give you a reintroduction, right? So, and she struggled in the preseason, did she not? Like, I feel like there was some tough games for her in terms of her performance. So, yeah, I'm not saying that she's not going to turn it on in the regular season or won't figure it out. I definitely think she's way too talented not to. I think that could be a situation where it's just there's not enough help around her, and she's trying to do too much, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe she's
and I feel like that was also the case in South Carolina.
Yeah.
But you even think about South Carolina, like her double doubles was barely double doubles, right? Like she only averaged. No. This is what I mean. Like 13, 14 points, right? She had 10 to 11 rebounds. But when you think about the points, it wasn't a 20-10 situation. It was more 10 and 10.
Right.
So because of all the dominance on South Carolina, did she still have double doubles? Absolutely. That is still a record.
In double coverage.
In double coverage, right. But she wasn't, her points in South Carolina was not nation or even SEC leading. Like it was not something that
she was still up for every award because of the way she impacts the game. So like
because when you still have that many double doubles, it's not a stat you can ignore either. Because she was a menace.
And her game, her game's just good. Like she's gonna be good.
Oh yeah, I hope. No South Carolina fans are watching because our Twitter mentions are going to be awful. Just based on my experience with any kind of. Criticism.
That was you want to talk about like with the whole Monica and Brie Beal being
Mhm.
cut, and that was the whole, and especially the same day as Destiny Henderson. I mean, it was
I was rooting for Bria Beal. There was a couple like Twitter threads about her the other day.
yeah.
Yeah. So
She's
people
one of
coming
those
out
good
defending her in
defensive
her game
players.
too.
You know, she just had to develop.
I think her game would have transferred well to the W too. I imagine she gets picked up. I think the pieces are there.
Yeah.
I don't know who, but I can
Yeah.
see her getting scooped.
My last like dark horse for rookie of the year, I think, Jen, you brought it up earlier about Seattle's need for ball handlers. I mean, Jordan Horston played that kind of role a bit in Tennessee. It's not like, it's probably not a WNBA skill set like her ball handling and especially like playmaking, but man, minutes are going to be there. And
well,
hope
I
she
mean, in
makes
the
an impact.
preseason, she wasn't bringing it up as much. She was going
Yeah.
between Yvonne Turner and
Mhm.
Jade, and why can't I think of her last name? But the girl from down under.
Yeah.
The last year's
Melbourne.
Seattle pick, yes, Melbourne.
Yeah.
Melbourne.
And she's literally from down under, Melbourne.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, well,
yeah.
she's from Melbourne.
Yeah,
That's right.
so I mean, she was it's kind of the same thing with Ezzy. They picked her last year, but then this is her first year playing.
Yep.
So between the two of them, I think Jordan's going to be a strong shooting guard, a strong number 2, and I think you move Jewel into 3.
Mhm.
Kind of rotation. So no, I do agree. Jordan's going to have a great year.
What about the player from South Florida, Dulcie? Didn't she have a great last preseason game too?
And she's still on the
She
team.
popped off?
Attention to preseason.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's still
she
on
could
the
be on the
team.
team.
She hasn't been cut yet.
Yeah.
They cut Jade Lovell and Maddie Williams.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
wish
Jasmine
list.
Walker too, right?
My wish list
Huh?
rookie of the year pick
Jasmine
is
Walker too.
And Jasmine. Well, I meant from the rookies, but yes, they also let go.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Kelsey?
my wish list pick is Lou Lopez Seneschal.
Oh,
I really love
If
her.
she plays, I mean, that's
I
the
know,
problem.
and I think she's so fun.
uh-huh.
Like, let her play, let her get out there. She'll figure it
great.
out.
Well, no,
She
she's
did it at
hurt.
UConn.
She's
Hmm?
hurt.
What did
That's
she
what she-
injure?
Her knee.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
So
Okay.
she actually, where she hurt that was at the Sweet 16 game, the game they lost. I was watching her because I was at that game,
Got
and
it.
she had like this non-contact, like just move and went down, and she came back, gave everything out, and they haven't really said what it is, but they're still monitoring it. So she hasn't played at all this preseason.
I'm just hearing that
Excited
she's
for her.
rested.
I hope she's healthy.
to crush
Yeah.
it.
I took a round 9 flyer at Maddie Segrist in a couple of my fantasy leagues, just in
fun.
case.
I'm excited for
Okay.
her too.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm really excited for Maddie. I think I would say the rookie team would be Maddie, Jordan, Aaliyah, Diamond, and definitely those 4. But I was like, no, who's my 5th?
I know. And I was really hoping for Maddie Williams too. I just liked watching her at Oklahoma, and
maybe that's where Haley comes in. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
that might
Haley
be.
makes.
Jones,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, hey, maybe
Yep.
Haley makes the 5th.
All right. Last question. Then we're signing off. Who knows where to find Ion TV for their Friday night?
I
WNBA
do.
game?
I do. It's because I watch it all
Isn't
the
it an app?
time. No, because this is very sad. This is my life because they show all reruns, and I can tell each day is a day of shows. So Sundays is NCIS, Mondays is Criminal Minds and now FBI, Tuesdays is Chicago Fire, Wednesdays is Blue Bloods, Thursdays is Chicago PD, Friday is Hawaii 5-0, and Saturday is Law and Order SPU. This is my life. This is
Oh my God.
Just so you know, that it is the channel. I go between Ion Network and ESPN. That is my life right there.
You are the target
Wow.
demographic
You
for these
are.
games. They
Oh.
they
Yes,
looked at your
on my channel,
your
it is
viewing
705.
behaviors.
But yes, I know exactly where Ion Network is, and I was super excited
They're
about
like,
this.
what channel?
So my question is, last year I couldn't get any game that was on CBS Sports Network on League Pass. Will the same thing happen to me with Ion games on Friday nights? Will they not be available on League Pass for me to watch?
Likely,
I'll have to have Ion.
probably.
Oh, speaking of app, they launched a new app today, and your subscription, at least on my phone, was now through Apple. So you
Oh.
actually do the subscription through but it's now an Apple subscription basically.
I assume there's like an Apple TV app.
Yeah.
Is it? It's just a cable channel, right?
205
Ion, yeah.
televised games.
Ion is usually in basic cable.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
Yeah, 205 televised games this year. So that's awesome.
It's gonna be great.
I don't believe that includes like the Facebook streams or the Twitter streams that they do randomly every once in a while. Like the Fever were like notorious for that last year a little bit. Where it was like, I'm gonna watch this game on Twitter. I don't know about that, you know?
So I'm like,
Now we're on
Got
Ion.
really familiar with like how to stream games on like a Roku device via Facebook or like Twitter
Yeah.
because I had
Yeah,
no
exactly.
idea before. But thanks WNBA, I learned something. Yeah.
the only thing that I was very mad about was that I couldn't be signed into both my Apple TV app and my phone app.
Oh,
So
really?
like it would kick me out. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that is fixed this year. Because like I would
hope
go in
that's
the
not the
app for
case.
stats or something
Yeah.
and make me sign in, and then I'd be watching the stream and
Got
then it
it,
would kick
it would-
me out. And I was like,
Yeah.
That's-
Didn't have stats
yeah.
underneath the game?
on the Apple TV.
Not
I
on
don't know.
TV. No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when I watched on League Pass, though, they had them underneath the game, I think. So,
Ooh.
anyways.
I think you can like.
I think,
think
but
League
like, I mean, it
Pass
was
might
League
have that,
Pass,
yeah.
but they wasn't showing the stats on the. At least I wasn't.
So, yeah,
I
it
think
must
you
be a
can like
different-
put them up or like look.
Like I think on
there's a
your
way to put
computer
them.
you can, but I don't know about like on Apple TV on the
Yeah, I
app
usually watch
of
on the
dubbing.
computer. Yeah, so I don't
Yeah.
know. I never tried it through my Apple TV, so that's interesting.
TBD if my Top Shot League Pass from last year applies to this year because it was telling me that it did. I don't know.
There you
if
go.
it's gonna work.
That's a W.
Well,
We'll see. I had
If it
applied
doesn't,
the code after I paid, and it charged me, and so
was
now
gonna
it's
say,
like.
if
We'll
it
see.
doesn't, it's $25, and that is
I
think,
will pay for it. I was
amazing.
prepared to, but it told me
Amazing
like $25.99, like you owe, and it didn't charge me. Like it hadn't charged me, but it looks like it's active. So we'll see.
Oh, that
I
sparks
feel
up.
like
Kelsey,
they
how
usually
many?
think the subscription usually ends the end of May, so
Yeah.
you might have it come June 1st.
I got an
Yeah,
email
we'll
telling
see.
me when my subscription was up, so you might have gotten something similar. in
So I
your-
paid for last year's subscription, and
Gotcha.
in my active subscription that I paid for, I applied the code I got to see if it would give me like a refund. It didn't, but it looks like it applied the code. Like it told me your subscription is ending, pay again. But then when it showed me what I would owe to pay, it was like $0.
Ooh, okay.
So I don't know if it was just like the code applied up until like the start of like it applied it, but it didn't because I paid for it or what.
Right.
So we'll see.
All right. Well, hope that works out for you.
Yeah, it'd be cool. And if not,
Cool.
it's $25. I was ready to pay for it.
Yeah.
I was like,
How
I'm not going to
many-
press submit. I'm just going to see what happens and then I'll buy it if I need to.
How many lib games are we going to this year, Kelsey?
So I was just looking at tickets for Sunday. We're at least doing opener. I think we're going to do opener. We'll see. We're definitely going to do Liberty Aces when they're in town
Heck yeah.
in a little bit. And then I think it's going to be like whatever Sunday afternoon games. Like I can't, weekdays are
Mhm.
hard to swing.
Yep.
So probably every weekend game that I would be excited to see. Like some of them, if it feels like it's going to be a blowout, I might save my money and snuggle up at home. But
Kelsey, if you're interested in the not the Crown Club experience, but the VIP experience, I know somebody who bought a season ticket plan. She knows she's not going to use all the games, so she's looking for people
Yeah.
to take her a pair of tickets. So
amazing.
look
Put
over
me in
there.
touch. We
Yeah,
almost
like
went to like the
all you see-
preseason seat thing. I was going to like talk to some people and be like, I can
It's-
only come to weekend
think
games.
she's-
What can you offer?
think
me?
Well,
she's-
I was gonna say sometimes they also like because I did all the mini plans. Some of the teams had just weekend games as a mini plan, or they do a flex
Yeah.
plan
Right.
and you buy like so many games and then you just pick whichever ones you
So-
want.
The Liberty with their like package pricing, the cost per ticket ended up being there was no discount. It ended up being the same as what you'd pay to go anyway.
Right.
So I was like, I'm not gonna buy all the tickets and then like not go. Like I can just buy them before or
Yeah.
day of for the same exact price.
Yeah. It was,
So I was gonna
you
try to like
basically
wheel and
paying
deal a
for-
little bit to be like, give me some value here, but I just
Right.
then
You were
it was the
basically
value
paying
of
for
my
the
time.
perks at that point, right?
Yeah,
if
and
you
like
wanted all
at a
those little
certain level, you don't really have like the levels I was looking at, I wasn't gonna get a ton of perks. I was like,
Right.
this doesn't really
You got invited
unless
to
I
like
want
the
to shell out all this
preseason.
money, but I should go to all the games. So it was like schedule plus what will I actually go to plus what will I pay? And
NDH,
one
I
of
love
these
this
days.
plan. Love
Yeah.
this plan. I have a kid who wants to see Diana Taurasi so bad this summer, and why not go to New York whenever New York and Phoenix play, if that's the
Perfect.
case.
There you go.
We'll see. All right, friends,
We did it.
what a great time together. We
So the
opened
I
best
know.
cereal we pulled was 137. Was that right?
137. Everything
Okay.
else was hot garbage.
Hey, it happens.
But it was great pack contents to give away. Like we got a Sill, we got an Inksler, we got an Erica Wheeler, all good stuff. And
I
the
know some
real-
big things are happening Friday, not just opening night, but WCC's
Yeah, The
playback,
W Top Shot roadmap is coming out on Friday.
that
so
too. And we're going to be launching some giveaways ourselves on
I'm-
Friday.
I'm
And,
pounding a Red Bull at 6 p.m. to stay up to watch Phoenix's game that starts at like 11 o'clock my time. Like, I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
Our friends at WNBA Collector Community are launching a Moment Ranks type game for the WNBA this season. So check
That's
that out if
sweet.
you want to participate.
Yeah.
It's going to be free entry, and then they're going to have a small pool of prizes for people for Thursday through Sunday games. So
Awesome.
hit up Mac and Schnapper if you're interested in that, and join their Discord.
Awesome.
The
Join their
best.
Discord. They're so
The
great.
best.
we're
But
celebrating their
then-
1-year anniversary. Speaking of that, in LA, we're partnering up with them for their 1-year
Heck yeah.
anniversary.
Yeah,
That's gonna be
We're
awesome.
excited.
It's great. Well,
Good stuff.
really the best poll was the friends.
we made
How
a
we
lot
got
of
to pull the friends into
I'm ending the stream.
StreamYard.
Bye.
Yep. That was really masterful work on my part. I'm so excited for the season start. I'm glad we got to talk to y'all, and hope everyone has a good night. Peace out,
Bye,
friends.
everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.